Hi there, it's Hyacinth Fraser here from Property in Action. Please do subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell to be informed of more videos.
Hi Justin, thank you for being in conversation with me. I'm really keen to know about your property journey. Tell people who you are and something about your property journey to date.
Sure. Oh, you want me
Okay.
to tell you, do you?
Yes, please.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so my name's Justin Whittemore. I'm an investor. So I invest in property and I invest in other types of investments as well, not just property. But property is the one that's probably got me to where I am today. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. My main forte is HMOs and serviced accommodation. I also, ran, which I've sold now for 15 years. I built, an area leading an estate agency and letting agency. So I'm very well versed in lettings as well. I built that for 15 years and sold that, back in 2018, middle of 2018. And then I started different types of investment and stuff like that. So that's really where I am and a little bit about me there.
Lovely.
Do you want to know how I got there? Or
Yes, please. Why did you get into property in the first place?
Okay, so I actually, so I'll try and keep it quite short because it is quite a lengthy story.
All right.
But ultimately, my childhood wasn't particularly great. I actually, some people call it suffering or whatever. I don't. I consider it a gift now. But I have something that many of your viewers might know is something called dyslexia.
Yeah.
Which means that I actually struggled massively at school, and especially with someone of my age. And when I went to school, dyslexia wasn't heard of.
Right.
And the only way that you could describe dyslexia was that you are either stupid, or you're a troublemaker, or you just can't be, you're lazy. And of course, I was none of those. It just, my mind was geared in a very different way. So I was always very creative. I was always had a knack for making money, but rather than what these guys were teaching me about history and just irrelevant things for me, really, I was more interested in learning how to, I suppose now we call that entrepreneurship. I was more interested in creating stuff. But anyway, I was actually bullied all the way through school, and that wasn't because of the pupils. That never was, because part of being dyslexic is you find absolutely genius ways of detracting away from that you can't read something out loud, or so I was always a bit of a class joker and made people laugh. So as a result of that, I was quite well liked in school. But it was the teachers that bullied me,
Right.
to a point where it was not a nice place to be. It really wasn't. And of course, I suppose if you are told something enough, and I think it's actually deadly true, if you are told something enough, you become it. So I was always told that you are stupid, you're thick, you are a troublemaker, you'll be nothing other, you'll end up in jail, whatever. And if you're told that enough, especially from a young age, you become that, and I become a troublemaker. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So how did you prove those naysayers wrong?
Well, I didn't Hyacinth, at the beginning. I became a product of what they said I was. I got into trouble. I started messing around. I started hanging out with young people, etc., etc. And really, that's the route I went down. So actually, I probably lived up at the very beginning to what they were saying I was going to be.
But what
anyway,
turned that around?
So basically, I left school really early, and I went straight into the building trade as a labourer. And I was sort of mixing cement and hoddying bricks around and stuff like that. So yeah, I was very fit. But then one day there was a guy on site that his person had walked out and left him, and he basically said, "Look, I need someone to help me in as a sort of, I don't know, as a labourer, but just to help me out. But he was a carpenter and joiner. So he would put roofs on, trusses, you know, windows in, staircases, kitchens and stuff like this. So he said, look, can you come and help me for a while? I said, yeah, of course I can. So anyway, he went away, and over the time that I was with him, I just watched and learned and watched and learned. Anyway, he was away for a few days, and he came back, and there was all these porches, and I had actually put the porches on.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, how did you know how to do that? And I said, well, I just watched and learned, and
Wow.
I've done it. And he was like, okay, you have a real talent, and I'm now going to go forward to the not the owners, but the directors of this building firm, and I'm going to ask if we can put you through your apprenticeship. And that's exactly what happened. So I was then put them through my City and Guilds carpenter and joinery apprenticeship, which I absolutely threw through, passed with distinctions and all sorts. And it was the first time I'd ever passed any exams. When that was a great feeling. And that was a bit of sign of like, yeah, this is brilliant. But then what happened is, so I started doing my apprenticeship, and all the guys on site were earning £1,000 a week. They was earning tons of money. They were qualified chippies on piecework, earning tons of money. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to be one of those, because I'm as good as them now, but I can't get paid as much as them because I'm an apprentice. So that all happened, and then I passed my apprenticeship, and I had the City and Guilds 1 and 2, the highest distinctions that you'd seen, and the market crashed, and they made all of the apprentices redundant.
Wow!
So as a result of that, I got a little bit angry with the system again, and started going down that route of getting into trouble and stuff like that.
Yeah. So what was your mindset when the market crashed and they got rid of apprentices? What was going on in your head at that time?
Anger. I was angry. I was angry because I felt that I'd been let down again. I'd been let down from the teaching school, and I'd been let down by the system again. So I was angry. So as a result of that, I went back into my old ways and just started getting in trouble in that again.
Okay.
But then one day, I don't know why, but one day me and my best friend at the time said, we need to do something about this, because we're just going the wrong way, and there's pretty much one way we're going to go. And so he actually came up with the idea. He said, well, let's go in the army. And I was like, yeah, all right, then we'll do that.
Had you not thought about that before?
No, never. But we both like guns and running about. And I was actually very fit. He wasn't so fit, but he was very clever. So he passed all his exams, and he went in or got chosen for a regiment that, I think it was the engineers. So it was quite, we learn a trade. I didn't exam very well again. So I went in as just a standard infantry soldier, and I joined a regiment called the Grenadier Guards.
Right.
And that was great. And literally the minute I went into the forces, I knew that was my calling. It was exactly what I was meant to do, and I loved it.
How long were you there for?
I was in there for a good few years.
Okay.
But I come out with an injury. I got injured, so I had to come out. And when I came out, but my point is, the forces gave me the mindset that I have today. It was the never give in mindset. You don't care what people say. You might feel pain now, but it's not going to last. And that that soldier on mentality, where you get your head down, you get stuck into something, and you don't give in until it's done. And that's the mentality I have now.
Have you got an example of that, Justin? Because I think that would be really helpful for people to hear.
As in,
not giving up, never giving in. Like something's happened. Go on.
So first of all, so in the forces, it was when we was out on the speed marches or out on exercise, you could be 15 miles into a speed march. Every single piece of you is hurting. And the more you look up, the more you see is road or forest or whatever. It just seems like it's never ending. But if you give in, your colleagues around you hurt, because it's a team. Being
Right.
part of a squadron, being part of a platoon, is you are a team, and if one gives in, you all fail, and that's the mentality that you need to get into. So you don't have a choice. You need to battle on, because ultimately, if it doesn't kill you, it's going to make you stronger.
Yeah. So you don't have a choice, and you don't give yourself a choice. And in terms of property, how did that translate into your property journey?
Okay, so yeah, so basically, when I came out of the forces, I literally went into every single. I drove for lorries for a while. Found out that was really boring, and then came out of that and literally walked into every estate agent in my local area, and I got offered, because I went in very regimented, very well dressed, and I got offered every single job.
Wow.
Now I took a job that I thought had the most progression for me, and I could show my skills, and actually within the first year I became a senior negotiator. Within 2 years I became the office manager, and with 3 years I became an area manager, and that was great. But then I wanted a little bit more. And by the way, none of my army, that mindset, I just was determined that I wanted to prove people wrong. So this pushed me through. But then I started my own company, and I left this company and I went to start my own company. And that's the company that I just sold. That was 15 years old. That's the one I've just sold. And that was going great. We became #1 agents in the area, holding 45% of the market share within a very short space of time. We literally took over everything.
Yeah.
But then in 2008, the market crashed, and I was back to a situation again where I never thought I would be feeling again. And that was that pain, like in the first crash when I lost, my apprentice, come out and we was all made redundant. This time was very different, because this time I had built a business. I had a small family on the way, a wife, and I had responsibilities. So this time the pressure that I received was like something that you can't describe. As a result of that, I had huge male pride again, and I never told my wife what was going on, and I tried to build it all up. And as a result of that, I nearly had a breakdown because of that.
Yeah.
But again, it was that soldier on mentality. What happens? I'm not going to let this defeat me. So
did the anger come back as well? Did the anger come back, or did the anger come back?
No,
did that dissipate?
Wow. No, it was no anger. It was because this was totally out of my control.
Yes.
The stress was caused by fear. It was a scary time, and I think there was no anger there because it wasn't caused by anyone individually. It was a frightening time because I had a small family on the way. It's my first, my eldest daughter was there. It was a scary time. My eldest daughter and my youngest, my son had just been born. So I had people depending on me, and I just thought, no, this is not going to happen again. This is not going to happen. I also had staff. I had lots of staff that had families to feed, and
you felt responsible. You felt responsible for them. Yeah.
The stress that was caused by that was, and as a company owner, everyone that works with people go, oh yeah, I want a pay rise, I want to do this, I want my money on time, etc., etc. Very often they don't see in the background what the company owners go through, because I was having to go without to make sure my staff was eating and my staff was getting their money and stuff. But I decided that, this is not going to happen. So I literally got the account. I looked at every cost I could cut. I was cutting things. I literally battened the hatches down and literally dug in tight and just waited for the storm to finish. But in that time, I was looking for other opportunities. And I think this is where people go wrong. They don't take the opportunity when they see it. So I was looking for other opportunities. And at that time, because of what had happened, the housing market, the big 4-bedroom and 5-bedroom houses were just for rent, were just sitting around.
Okay.
Now, we owned HMOs anyway. So I turned to my business partner at the time and said, listen, these houses that are sitting empty, why don't we do something with them? And I didn't know, by the way, this was called rent to rent. I stumbled across this.
Okay.
So I said to him, look, these houses are sitting empty, why don't we do something? And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, we have HMOs. There is a need for it because people can't rent. They don't have enough money.
Right.
And we had a huge demand for rooms. And I said, well, why don't we take one of these, let it out by the room like we do at HMOs, and give the landlord their rent, and we keep the difference. And as your words were, it will never work. And I said, well, okay, well, listen, can we try one? And he said, yeah, okay, let's try one. And I literally spoke to the landlord.
Yeah.
And the landlord's reply was, do you know what, just have the house. I literally, it's been empty for 4 months. I can't go through this anymore. Just take it. So we took it, and we done everything wrong, by the way. We had the wrong contracts. Everything was wrong about it. But it was an opportunity that appeared, and we took it.
Yeah.
You know, I think the saying is you go and do it now, and you worry about how it works later. That's a great thing, how we did it.
So how did you get your other rent to rents? How did you make contact with the landlords?
So basically, following on from that, basically we took the house and it let immediately. And all of a sudden, we'd gone from our management fee, which was, let's say, 10% of £1,000, which is £100 a month, to over £1,000 profit. And my business partner at the time was like, how do you do this? You know, you always see something and go for it. And that's what it was. And then from then on, we started taking our own stock. So anything we had within our own company, we approached the landlord and just said, look, you know, you've been sitting now empty for 3 months. This is a solution that we've come up with. We've got Mr. Jones, Mr. Davis, that are all doing the same thing. Why don't you have a go? And they just took it. We run out of using our own stock. So then we had to approach other agents, which we come up with a pitch to speak to other agents, again, which was just giving us properties. And then we just hit local networking events, business networking events, local landlord forums, things like this to start speaking to landlords. But I think one of the other things we did was we went to new home sites. And we started talking to the girls. Now, they was having 4 and 5 bedroom houses, you know, struggling to sell. And we just started speaking and said, look, we've got an option. If you have investors, we will guarantee them rent. And also they started selling a few houses to investors. And really that's how it sort of started the momentum of the rent to rent business. Yeah.
How can you guarantee rent? What do you?
You can't. There's no such thing. So all these people that, you know, that will tell you are guaranteed rent, you know, I'll guarantee you. How can you guarantee rent? Because your company might go pop. What we say to people is we will give you no void. So we are, you know, in effect stepping in away from the tenants and we're taking over. So we are being responsible for their thing. Ultimately, if they can't pay and we can't pay, there is no such thing as guaranteed. But how we work it with people is that we say, look, you know, if you have a standard tenant, they are always just 24 hours away from being unemployed. If you take them, that's actually very difficult to get them out. But how we legally structure it, if we break the terms and conditions and we can't pay, then do you know what? Because we have it on a company or commercial type let, you can actually give us just 1 month's notice and get rid of us. Oh, and by the way, we would take care of maintenance and we would take care of, you know, putting the property back right.
Yes.
That's really well with investors or landlords. They really like that option that they're not going to have a sitting tenant that they can't do nothing with for quite a long period.
So essentially what you guarantee to landlords is that they have no voids, essentially.
Essentially, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So if you were to offer some top tips about how to get into rent to rent, what would you say? And also there are rent to rent HMOs, there are rent to rent serviced accommodations. What might some of your top tips be?
Okay, so the first two strategies you mentioned, HMO and service accommodation, are two very different beasts.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
If you want to create yourself another job. So you leave a job to create another job, and you want a full-blown business, then probably service accommodation, because it is so much more time intensive.
Is it more lucrative though than HMO?
No, it's not. And I think this is
Okay.
a common misconception, that everyone
Okay.
thinks that it is more lucrative, and it's not. You know, everyone bands around the figures that service accommodation can get you £3,000 or £4,000. Well, it can, but ultimately there's a lot of more costs that go out of that, and also the time that goes into it, the amount of staff that it needs to run. Whereas you could take a HMO for let's say £500 to £1,000 a month, but that takes, you know, just 1 or 2 hours a month to look after. So, you know, I think anyone that wants to get really involved, SA is not a bad thing. But someone that wants to create some cash flow as well as doing other stuff, I think definitely HMOs are the way forward. So that would probably be the tip. Identify what your area needs would be another tip, because not all areas are the same. So actually our area does demand both HMO and service accommodation, but not all areas do. So you've got to understand your marketplace.
And how will they understand their marketplace?
Sorry.
How will they understand their marketplace? Where do they need to do some research?
They just need to look around them, or just open their eyes up and have a look around. So who do I have in the area? Are there lots of warehouses where I might find a tenant type there? So look what their tenant types are. Or is it blue collar, professional? We have a mixture of everything here. Is it contractors, road workers, stuff like this? You can soon tell what the demand is going to be, if it's going to be long-term or short-term contracts within the tenant types that are there, full stop. And I think probably one of the biggest things I will say to people is just go and do it. Too many people make the excuse that I don't know enough, or I need to learn a little bit more about that. I actually think that's a load of rubbish, and I actually think that's probably one of the biggest excuses new investors or procrastinators will make, is by saying, I need to know a little bit more about that before I start. Why? You know how to do it, go and do it.
Just get on with it.
You can learn the rest later. And I think if you actually look at all successful entrepreneurs, and some of the most successful ones that certainly I've taught, they are the ones that have literally done everything that I've told them to do and just gone and done it. And not look back, just gone and done it. The minute you start making excuses, you haven't got quite enough time. Okay, well, if I said you was going to die tomorrow unless you did it, would you do it? Yes, I would. Right, so you've got enough time. If people always say, well, I don't quite know enough. Okay, so tell me about rent to rent, HMO, this. Right, you know enough. Go and do it. People are very easy to make excuses.
Stop the excuses.
I think the reason why they like to make excuses is because they are scared. They're scared of failure. And I think failure comes into a lot of people not succeeding, because failure will stop you doing something. Failure will give you a chance to make an excuse not to do something. Does that make sense?
Yes, completely.
And actually, failure is all part and parcel of what we do. I've had failures all the way through my career. However, I am where I am now because I've accepted those failures, learned from them, and moved on. And that's exactly what it's all about.
And it's actually about just getting on with it. And not everything you're going to succeed at, but actually the more you press on and you've got your end point in mind, then the more likely you are to succeed rather than stopping before you succeed.
Yeah, totally.
Justin, you mentioned teaching people, and I know that you've got a 3-day course coming up shortly. Do you want to talk about the teaching that you do? Do you want to mention anything about that, or how people can contact you?
So the teaching that I do, so I don't just teach on rent to rent. I will teach you on business systems. I will teach you on business full stop. I think I'm very good because people learn a lot from me as regards to just to be an entrepreneur. So if you have an idea how to get it to market, how to move it forward, I love doing stuff like that. I'm really, really good at stuff doing like that. So actually what I do is I teach people on rent to rent. I teach people on service accommodation. I teach people on HMOs. I teach people on other types of investment as well. I'm a massive believer in mindset.
Yes.
And I'm a massive believer in actually just pushing forward. In my one-to-one type program that I have, it's literally a no BS couple of days with me, and literally if you turn up here with me, you're going to be pushed. It's as simple as that. I will completely take you out of your comfort zone. And then we have a couple of other products as well. We have one that myself and Sarah Poynton run. It's a 3-day boot camp. That's actually running this weekend, but we have a 3-day boot camp. We also have a discovery day if you want to get involved in that as well. We have personally, myself and Sarah have our own mastermind group, which runs once a month, every month. That's based here in Milton Keynes. We have some amazing mentors on there. It's headed by myself and Sarah, and then we've got some great mentors in there, and it's a very sort of close-knit, very up close and deep and dirty group. It's great, some great results coming through there. Absolutely love that. The mastermind side of stuff I absolutely love, because I'm watching people progress throughout the year. If they don't do something, I have the chances to tell them off, but at the same time, if they're doing well, I really love people that are doing well as well and really pushing forward. And that's the thing, what we do for all of our masterminders, by the way, I've got this massive money tree, and I take a cutting from it and I plant it, and then I regrow that into another little money tree, and I present that to all of our masterminders, because that is, that's a sign of their new business starting. And the same as business, you want that money tree to grow, you want your business to grow, therefore you have to nurture both. And I've given you something from my wealth for you to nurture into your own wealth, and that's the idea behind it.
I love that. So where can people contact you, Justin? Is it over Facebook? Is that the best way to contact you? Or have you got a website?
Find me on Facebook, Justin Whittemore. That's WHITTEMORE on Facebook. You can also contact me on my email, which is my name, justinwhittemore@yahoo.co.uk. If you're interested in our mastermind or our boot camps, you can get me on this one. Are you ready? It's learn@cogito-wealth.co.uk. That's learn@cogito-wealth.co.uk.
Okay, fantastic. And if people can subscribe and hit the notification bell for this video to receive updates on future videos, that'll be fantastic. Justin, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Brilliant.